There we go. So once again, 10-aught or 8-aught thread, nice and fine thread. Start right behind the eye and dress the shank. This is what keeps your dubbing from spinning oddly around the hook, is having the thread dress the hook shank, because the hook shank is pretty slippery. Get it back there. And I let the thread hang where the barb used to be, right at the bend.
Okay, that's okay.
Once again, bronze mallard flank. This is the natural mallard flank, which is
pull it tight,
which is kind of grayish.
do
This bronze one has been dyed, or you can get it off the natural bird color. I don't know if there's such a thing as a bronze now. Anyway, and I want to pull off the stem about gap width. I want a moderately substantial tail.
I think maybe we wrapped the wrong way.
And measure the shank length. Put that down where the thread is.
Okay, so you have to go around this.
Make that wrap over the top. And then using my finger, I just push with my index finger to keep that from wrapping around the hook shank as I wrap it forward. And that all that does is keep it bunched on the top.
Hold it tight.
Hold up the tip. When I get up to what would be the wing position on a dry fly, I'm going to trim that off. And that's about 3 eye widths behind.
Good. Now,
at that point, I'm going to tie in my tinsel.
Now what you need to do is hold,
which is a fine oval tinsel,
and bring just
tie the tip right there where it's hanging, and wrap over top. And as I wrap, I'm going to let the thread push that tinsel around until it's on the far side of the hook, because I want to start the wraps of tinsel up the rib, up the body on the far side. So because I'm going to counter wrap that.
Perfect, just like that.
And then again, hare's ear dubbing. This one is hare's ear and Antron blend. And I have a couple of different shades of this. I've got a light gray. This is sort of a natural color. So it's sort of a brownish color. If you do your own hare's ear dubbing, make your own hare's ear dubbing from a mask, it's a little darker even than that. Again, a little dubbing wax on my fingertip helps get that nice and tight as I'm wrapping. Using small quantities, don't want a great big whacking dubbing rope. I want to be able to shape it by using a thinner dubbing rope.
Okay.
And if I get 2.5 inches or so, that's enough to work with.
Oh, it got loose.
And I'll wrap that from the back up to the front,
It worked itself
nice and
loose.
even.
Just cut it.
And then wrap back over top.
Just
That's a little
start
thick
it.
there.
You know, migrated 2 feet away.
Keep going back to the tail end again. And then I add some more dubbing
You start again.
and
Start at the front here.
wrap
and
it up,
Work your way to the back.
forward. And again, trying to make it a little thicker as it gets towards the front than it is at the back.
You're getting good now at that.
A few more wraps at the front to thicken it up a little bit, and that should do it. Again, about 2 eye, I'm going to stop about 2 eye widths behind the eye of the hook. Counter wraps, which means making my
Loose, long.
rib go the opposite direction.
Caught enough now that it
Keeps it from sinking down into the dubbing. When I get to the front, we'll tie it off. Tie a couple in front so it doesn't come unwrapped. Trim it off
better
on
if
top.
You can come, like, you're kind of doing this, but if you come right here.
Hackle, I've already,
Because you were
as they
doing
say,
it.
prepared
just
one
kinda
of
keep
these
your hand out
partridge
front.
hackles,
And-
stripping the
and
fuzz
then
off and
Well,
stripping
bring it
the
back
fibers
to
off
there.
until I have about
There.
1.5
Around.
gap
That's it.
length of fibers. Hold it by the tip,
What are you
my
using?
left hand.
What is the material you're
And
using for the dropper? Like what, from the front?
strip
to
it
the-
back so that
To
it
the hook.
Keep your
sticks
hair
out to the
here,
side like
and
that.
then move this forward.
Turn it around so
flash
the intensely colored part
Yeah,
is
that's a good
facing me
idea.
and it's cupped away from me.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot
And
of.
It's
tie it in by
extremely
that.
hard to hear, Dave.
Beg pardon?
It's extremely hard to hear when we've got 2 or 3 times.
Okay, I'll have to speak up as best I can.
Yeah.
So by making this little gap in between the two, I can wrap in that spot where the tip is still going forward.
They're complex and slow tie.
Good
and
solid
expensive.
But then move the whole thing
wrap, and then I pull the tip back
So there's
About
a thread.
$4
and wrap in front so that it stands up on
Is that
top.
right?
Good. Keep going.
And guys,
Back
can you
here.
quiet down a
Keep
bit
your
so
hand out here,
because we're recording.
but move the whole works up.
So I got to get in here with my tip of the scissors and just snip that tip out.
There. That's it. And that way. your
Grab the
hand's out
stem
here.
with my hackle pliers,
Yeah, you can just let it hang for.
hold it straight up, wet my fingers, and then
And
stroke these fibers back so that the hackle is folded, and hold on to them a little bit as I start to wrap around the hook.
you try to.
So they're all the fibers are facing the back. This is a pretty common technique for tying with partridge feathers. It ensures that they don't get trapped behind each other. Yeah, come on. Hold it there. And they stick out towards the back.
Did you catch it?
It's a standard wet fly technique, the English
you
wet
gotta
fly
pull it
technique.
Tight, so it doesn't want to slip out.
Wrap over top of the stem a couple of times and in front, and trim the stem off. Make sure all the bits are
Okay.
pointing back. And I'm still leaving a good
Yeah.
2 eye widths from the front if I can. That's where I'm going to tie the wing
Okay,
in.
so now we'll pull this back. and you
So the
bring
wing is slips from this
it
pre-prepared
out here.
turkey, model turkey. And pre-preparation involves spraying it with a artist's fixative. I'm going to try and cut off about a gap width of segment from the
Okay.
stem
Let it
from
hang down.
one side
Now,
and kind of stroke it a little bit so that it's
spin
nice
this
and
around like that,
straight.
all the way to the front, all the way.
Go and get the other one, trying to make it the same. Some guys use dividers to segregate these out. I find it just easier to
Keep it tight.
manipulate them to the right width afterwards. Cut them a little thicker at first, then pull them out. If one of the wings is a little wider than the other,
Now that you're there.
you just
gotta
kind of
turn
have to
this around
put them side by side
and
and see which one's the
Well,
thickest.
you,
And
this is here. so
the
you've gotta
the
put
widest
it
one, I'm just going to
behind it.
peel a strand or two off
And that.
with
that
my
way it's
fingernail.
caught. So and
So
you
they're
do that
approximately the same
4 or
width.
5 times and then pull to keep it tight.
Just a touch of spit on fingers again helps them stick.
Make it tight.
I'm gonna put one on the colored side facing away from me on my index finger
Okay.
and lay the other one with the brightly colored side facing me on top of it.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I have
There's
the
your
tips
second
evened
thought.
up
What we're gonna
and
do,
the
instead of using
butt ends
that's not my
facing
machine.
forward. I measure from where the thread is hanging, so the tip of the wing is just about half of the tail length. Set it on top of the hook, pinch good and snug, thread up between my fingers down the far side, then back up again and gently pull up. Don't want to break my thread again. Down the far side and bring it up. And I'm just going to hold my finger there to make sure that the wing doesn't wrap itself around the hook. square it up on top here. Lift the butt ends up. Take my scissors and get it the other way here. Take my scissors in and lay it up against the eye of the hook and
As if there's nothing
see.
there again, just
trim it off.
remember
Just the
out
butts.
here.
There you go.
That's it. And keep
And
working.
bind the
this
butts
end
down, holding that,
down the hook.
again, holding that wing on top so it doesn't wrap over. And make yourself a nice head. With this fine thread, it takes quite a few wraps. And then get my whip finisher and put a couple of whip finishes on it. This thread is pretty fine. You guys might have trouble seeing the thread. Now, ideally, you want to, if you can, you want to get, once this is finished,
That's just what I wanted. Cartridges are a messy thing.
and what you want to do here, you get this trimmed off underneath. And I'm going to put just a little dab of Sally Hansen's hard as nails on that head. Just touch it.
Yeah,
Give it a little shine. And that's it. So I can stop the record now.